Welcome to Global Design Talk by btrax. I'm your host, Brandon. In this channel, we discuss design from a global point of view. Today we have Uday. Thank you, Uday, for coming here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Uday Dandavate. I am the co-founder of SonicRim, a co-creation agency based out of San Francisco. After 13 years as a designer and 30 years as a researcher, today I call myself an ethnographer of imagination and catalyst of co-creation. And I'll leave it at that. Once we talk more, more will be revealed about that. I'll leave you intrigued about what I do.
Very good. So Uday actually is my mentor. He is an industry veteran, and he is in the same building. Actually, it's one level below our office here. So I'm very, very happy to have you here today. We'd like to dig deeper into what you do. You said co-creation, and it sounds new to most of people, some people, especially in the field of design. I know there is service design, UX design, but co-creation sounds a little bit different. So maybe you could explain a little bit more about that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So though I come from the field of design, and I started learning design almost 50 years ago, so it's been a long journey. The idea of co-creation was presented by a professor in Chicago. His name was C.K. Prahlad. And the idea is designers think about design of products, services, artifacts. But we design for people in the real world who have to buy our designs, who have to respond to our design. And from the management perspective, C.K. Prahlad introduced the idea of creating value for the marketplace. And essentially, it's the value that people pay for, not an artifact. And in order to create value, everybody has to think together. The consumers, the designers, the engineers, the business strategy people. So when everybody puts their mind together to first learn what the market needs, then to engage creative energies to see what is possible, and then implement it all the way through the product cycle to bring it to the market, not just as an artifact, but something that creates value for the consumers. That approach to collaborative creating of value is called co-creation.
So it sounds like in the process of designing products or services, your process involves in consumers, end users.
And also in between people.
In between wholesalers, resellers?
Correct. Like, for example, if I was working with an automotive company, there are so many stakeholders that have to come together to bring an idea to the market. There is an automotive company, but you'd be surprised, automotive companies don't make the whole product themselves, nor do they envision that. They have a whole ecosystem of suppliers who supply different products, different software, different engineering components, from chips to software to steering wheel to seats, would be created by different companies, and it all comes together in form of a car that we buy from this company. But in my experience, what I've done is I worked with different kinds of suppliers of these components and inspiring an imagination of how their part, be it a seat or a dashboard or a steering wheel or the software inside the car that creates digital experiences, how does it all come together towards what end, towards what experience? And that is co-creation, because you're working with different suppliers and the OEM to create a shared vision of the experience that has to be delivered.
So what will be some of the key benefits of doing that instead of deciding everything in the conference rooms, producing everything in the manufacturer factories, or designing everything in the design studios? What will be the key benefits?
I'll give you benefits to different people, because in co-creation, every stakeholder has a different objective, right? A consumer has a different objective. The manufacturer has a different objective. In case of cars, the retail outlet, the showroom has a different objective. So what is the benefit to each one of them is something to be considered. But what is really nice is we are all coming together to sell an imagination of an experience. We are selling a story which then is brought about through each component. Let's take, for example, luxury. Yeah. Now, luxury has so many manifestations. There's a manifestation in brand. There's a manifestation in the point of purchase experience. There's a manifestation in advertising. There's a manifestation in seat. There's a manifestation in lighting. There's a manifestation in the digital dashboard. And how does each supplier and creator of each of those components think together to think about, understand what luxury means to people, is what gets them to do the right thing and to develop that concept of luxury into an actual artifact. Now, what is the benefit? The consumers get luxury.
Yeah.
The designers understand how to manifest or how to build the characteristics of luxury in their product experience. And everybody along the way has the right story to tell to the consumers, and then each one of them has the return on investment through that story. And I'll give you an example. Typically, component suppliers in automotive industry have design studios, they have their own research, and they keep coming up with ideas, 100 ideas. And they take those ideas to the company, say it might be Mercedes-Benz, it might be Ford Motor Company, it could be whoever, Volvo. And they keep saying, okay, we have these new ideas for steering wheel, we have a new idea for seat. And they keep making presentations. And these companies are getting presentations from all the different suppliers who think their idea is unique idea and it's going to bring this convenience, comfort. And it takes a long time to get for a component supplier to get an idea through to an OEM and see it implemented in a vehicle. But 15 years ago, we did a project with a company called Johnson Controls. They are now Yanfeng Automotive. And there, we talked about the future of information or smart experiences in the car. Based on our vision, it was a global study. We engaged their end users, target users in creating the vision. And through that, the design studio came up with ideas. Now, people who go to these automotive companies with ideas typically go with a portfolio of product ideas. This time, the company's teams that interfaces with automotive company went with stories and a vision and followed it up with the product ideas. And I was told that they were able to sell these ideas in record time to the automotive companies, and automotive companies had the right story within their organization to justify why this idea fits the consumer experience. And therefore, the research that for which they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars saved them probably $1 million of trying to persuade the automotive company to buy it. It saved them probably 1,000 ideas trying to sell them over 5-6 years. And within several months, they were able to implement a feature into the vehicle. So that's the benefit.
Got it. It sounds like I hear that there are multiple benefits of doing co-creation. One is speed up the process. The second is lowering the cost, increase the success rate, and better
Saving time.
Saving time, yeah, of course, and better brand representation through the appropriate stories.
Absolutely.
So there is a whole lot of benefits out of doing that process.
Yes.
Is this becoming the more common practice among the companies and design companies to collaborate?
Yes and
Okay.
no.
All right.
I think that's why what I have realized is that people who are experienced, who have spent 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the industry, for them it's very hard to understand collaboration and co-creation. It's even harder to internalize and practice it. It's very easy to talk about it. So I would say a lot of people talk about co-creation. Most of the people who practice it will treat it as a focus group session where you ask people for ideas, go back and implement those ideas. But truly, co-creation is not a focus group session.
So it's different. It's more
co-creation
interactive?
Is a change of mindset.
Okay.
Mindset of including all the stakeholders from the front end of the design process all the way till the idea hits the market, and accommodating their ideas, building something together. And that doesn't come easily to people who are used to the old power games and ego that works in a creative industry.
So it sounds like that's more challenging for companies and brands and corporations to adopt the new way of doing things than the other side of the spectrum, which are consumers, users, or manufacturers, maybe OEM.
Correct.
So this shift of mindset, are there any particular things that you as a design company provide in order to massage the mindset?
Yes.
Make it softer or
yes,
flexible?
It doesn't really require massaging.
Okay.
So somebody asked me, one of my clients who attended my workshops at Wayne State University in Detroit, he asked me, what does it take to implement co-creation in a large organization like mine? At what level of power does it need to be implemented? And I told him, it's not about level of power. It's more about who understands and values co-creation, and that person becomes the champion of co-creation in the organization. I cannot plant it from outside. I need to find 1, 2, 3 people through various processes, education, workshops, seminars. But once that person is ready to evangelize in the organization, that person should have 3 qualities. Number 1, she or he believes in it. Number 2, she or he is relentless, doesn't give up when faced with skepticism or just diffidence, and can be pain in the butt. And number 3, this person has friends. So because once you become a pain in the butt and start championing things that people don't want to hear, you need to be liked by people. People need to accommodate your thoughts and go back and think later on about what you said. So I've had many such clients, 1, 2, 3 in a company, and it takes me 10 years for people to even start feeling any effect of change in an organization to bring in that kind of true co-creation spirit in it.
Okay, very, very good. Because the main theme of this channel is talking about design from global point of view. So let's talk something about, say, designing something for different markets, different areas. And Uday, I understand that you've been to many. Once you told me that you've been to like.
Okay, 40... I just wrote something.
Yeah.
I just recently did recently means almost 2 years ago. I did a study of all my spreadsheets of all the research studies I've done.
Yeah.
In 30 years. So 30 years is more important to know. And I realized not including my team, I personally have traveled to more than 50 countries, talked to more than 12,000 people during these 30 years. And when you open your mind to listen to their stories, their requirements, you become less obsessed with your own idea and your creativity, and you begin to understand the patterns. So you can go ahead and ask me your question. So what is your question?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the how consumers are different in different
global
areas, markets, and backgrounds.
So there are different ways of slicing the world, but I'll give you a very interesting story of a speech I heard of Thomas Friedman, who wrote the book World is Flat. And Lexus and the Olive Tree and the many other books he's written. So in one of his TV shows, he said, One food item that he calls glocal is pizza. The base of pizza is common everywhere in the world, but the topping is specific to every culture and flavor. So if you go to Tokyo and eat a, say, Pizza Hut pizza,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you think you're eating Pizza Hut pizza, but you have a Japanese flavor to it. If you went to India and ate Pizza Hut pizza,
Is it different?
totally different.
Okay.
If you went to China, Shanghai, ate a pizza. You went to Korea. Each of these have a different local flavor, but they all think they're eating Pizza Hut pizza. That is globalization. There's a base that binds the idea and the brand together, but there's a topping that creates a local flavor. So people feel connected to culturally, habitually, to something that has been globally produced, but is relatable locally.
Are there any differences between different products and different industries? Say, automobile, smartphones, pizza, services, entertainment. What do you
Yes
say?
and no. So I see. I'm doing a lot of deep thinking about global cultures,
Yeah.
its differences, more so because I feel concerned by homogenization that's happening through media, digital media, because younger generations are seeing the same thing worldwide, and they're adapting to a culture that's been projected through media. Several years ago, I was a jury member at Microsoft's Idea Cup competition for high school students. I was in Paris. There were hundreds of students from high schools from around the world. There was Japanese, there were Indian, there were American, there were Indonesian, all kinds of people from 50 countries. But they all dressed and looked and walked and talked like the same thing. Yeah. And I said, what's happening? Yeah, when I travel around the world, I see such a differences.
Yeah.
I see difference of culture, language, the way you speak. And here, this new culture is homogenizing everybody. And one must understand people speak the same language. I recently had a conversation with a linguist, and he said that there are close to 7,000 languages in the world. And every language for hundreds of thousands of years carries forward wisdom and knowledge of how people understand the universe. And it's transferred through spoken language. And if we kill languages, we kill knowledge. So I think we need to really go back from globalized and homogenized design expression to encouraging local expression, because that carries hundreds and thousands of years of knowledge. We don't want to lose that. So to your point, there's one force that is homogenizing cultures, but there is still a lot of people, native cultures, tribal cultures, new kinds of tribal cultures, who are trying to preserve the locality, the local essence of things. And I think the best thing is to preserve that. Otherwise, we're going to lose a lot of knowledge that humanity has learned from hundreds of thousands of years. And I'm seeing that also happening. On one hand, there is convergence, and there is one end there is divergence. And what I want to do is I want to encourage community activities as a designer to encourage people to think locally.
So, in your opinion, what does contribute to the homogenization of the people all over the world? Do you think internet, social media, YouTube? What do you think?
All of the above.
Okay. Okay.
Fashion industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all are trying to, and global corporations. I think corporations taking over markets also affects mom and pop shops where local expressions come up. You know, Amazon is killing retail.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's easier for me to click on Amazon. I'm guilty too, than to walk towards to a local store where a small family is building something with their hands and trying to sell you. For you, it's easier to just go on Amazon, click and find something. All of that is actually killing diversity of the universe.
I think in a way, I grew up in Japan, so I know this. This country is guilty for making everything the same, copying and pasting. Shopping malls. Anywhere you go in the United States, anywhere in California to Oklahoma to Texas to New York, if you go to a rural shopping malls, I feel the same. Like Target is there, Walmart is there, McDonald's is there, few other like chain restaurants are there, stores are there. It's a complete efficiency model. Costco is there maybe. Mm-hmm. So on the other hand, a country with more history like Japan, China, India, European countries, they have their own local traditional stores and fashion as well. And I always miss that kind of thing in this country because United States doesn't have much of those authenticity.
Yesterday I was interviewing somebody. He was the director of National Institute of Design in India, Ashok Chatterjee, and he was mentioning the best way to create a convivial future is to go back to handmade products. Because there's such a deep connection between hands and history and culture and dignity that once we go back to mass-produced, corporate-sold things, we are taking that dignity and creativity away from people who work at the ground level.
Do you think that works well with capitalism? Because capitalism is all about making everything efficient as possible. Sales, profit, stock prices, everything needs to go up. And that sounds a little bit counterintuitive.
So I want to stop using words like capitalism, socialism, communism, because we get caught up in the words of that.
Yeah.
I just want to release this energy, creative, curious energy, caring energy that we all have as humans. And so towards that purpose, I think it's more about giving people the confidence and a voice to come together, care for each other, share with each other's ideas, resources, and then co-create things that work for their community.
And also profitable.
It is going to be profitable.
Producers.
And how much profit do you need?
Yeah? I mean, in order to pay bills.
Yeah. But I think, like for example, if you go out to a farmer's market, the margin at which she or he is selling an apple to you, the whole margin goes back to her or him. The same apple being sold in Whole Foods or any other store, it may have the same price or less price or more, I don't know. But it gets like the actual farmer gets very little of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Go to Walmart. The actual person who labored for it gets very little of it. Yeah. So I think there is that kind of a thing to be seen, that can we actually create an economy where the person who toils or applies creativity can actually draw livelihood from it. The entire network we create of organizations, like we might think Walmart serves certain class of consumers, but how many people get exploited in the process of managing supply chain for small profits and how they live, how many people go back and see it.
I understand that's a whole concept of buy local, buy small, sustainability, D2C kind of concepts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I have something interesting. I have a new idea I'm introducing, and for the first time with you. Okay. Though by the time your video hits, I would have written about it other places, but for historical record, I'm saying it first to you. You know, the capitalist system talks about, and economists talk about ROI, return on investment.
All the time.
Yeah. So, and it's okay. That's the way we've built the entire business empire. But life doesn't talk about ROI. Yeah? When you invite somebody for dinner, you don't think about ROI.
No.
Yeah?
No.
Yeah? When you travel to meet your family, you don't think about ROI.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm introducing a new idea, and that's a part of a project I'm currently doing. I'm calling it LOI.
What is L?
It's called Legacy of Imagination.
Okay.
Yeah. Through hundreds and thousands of years, each culture has built a legacy of how people dreamt about the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that legacy of imagination evolves. Our dreams evolve even before they become reality. It's very important how each community, each country, or globally, how do we build systems in place to preserve the legacy of our imagination, to document the legacy of imagination, and to tap into it without being victims of the economic models that are geared more towards ROI. And I think that's how we will actually preserve harmony, create dignity,
Yeah.
and build communities that care for each other.
It sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds almost like creating the latest technology of AI, something called LLM, large language model, putting data into the model so that AI preserves the history or legacy or culture. But do you think that works?
I'm glad you talked about AI because this is a big part of my current activities. I teach at Carnegie Mellon University. I teach engineers to be more human-centric or participatory. I also work with my clients, and now I'm working with communities. And the big mindset shift I want to bring about in the times of AI is to think about what does it mean to be human in the times of AI. Because there are fears being expressed by everybody that AI would encroach on human consciousness, human agency, and I don't believe it will. Because AI only knows what we know. We feed into AI what we know, and then AI does its own calculations and extrapolates from the available knowledge. But we are human not because what we know, but what we are curious about, what we are searching. The entire field of science and innovation and creativity is driven not by what we know, but by what we don't know. If we didn't search for ways of flying like birds, if we didn't search for what is Earth like, what is the relationship between the Earth and the sun, if we never knew that, and if we didn't look for answers, we would never have found the truth that was hidden in darkness. So I think AI is going to bring speed and efficiency to the things we know and work with, but we are still going to be human, searching for things we don't know. And we need to do it together, and we can use AI as a tool for things we know and want to do more efficiently, but that's not all life about. So I'm not scared of AI, but I do want to organize community events, interactions between real people in the communities and industry people who are obsessing about building AI, integrating AI in their products, to be mindful of the fact that human is still at the center of our communities. Humanity is at the center of our community, and it is the communities that are going to define the boundaries of AI and what exists outside of AI, so that engineers understand where to stop and people understand there is world outside of AI. So that's my approach.
So you're optimistic about the AI technologies for the creative fields or designers?
Well, I'm optimistic about everything. As a designer, I'm taught to be curious and work beyond what exists creatively.
Yeah.
So I can't fight AI. Even if I believe AI is crap, even if I believe it's dangerous, we have guns that are dangerous. We have aeroplanes that are dangerous. We have fast-moving trains and cars that are dangerous. So we, as a human race, in our craving for a better quality of life, are going to create dangerous tools and methods. I think we have to reclaim our humanity and overcome the dangers by being mindful, being prepared, and still looking for that part of humanity which is about living life with nature, ecology and being curious about what instinctively, intuitively comes to us. You know, as a part of my business, my real skill is asking questions. Yeah. And we spent all this time giving you answers to your questions. So I have one question for you.
Right.
From all this conversation we had for the last, whatever, half hour, 45 minutes, what are the 1 to 3 takeaways you took away from this conversation? What did you learn?
So I would say the first thing I learned is asking the right question is very important. As a designer, as a creator, instead of providing the right answers. So asking the right questions to whoever clients or stakeholders, customer, consumers, whoever you work with, that's really crucial to create something very, very good for the society. And second is this global and local concept. Last 10 years, 20 years, everything became so standardized, homogenized. And we are getting to the point that we will go back to this local concept, uniqueness, authenticity. I think the times is shifting towards that trend now. And also preserving legacy, keeping the imagination, the curiosity is very important for human beings. So that would be three things I learned.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I have something for the audience. I have a question for you and a suggestion. These videos that btrax are creating is not to be watched just once and not to be watched alone. Bring a group of friends together, bring a group of colleagues together, watch it together and have a dialogue about it. It's not just my ideas or Brandon's ideas that are important, but these ideas are meant to generate a conversation, a dialogue, and from that dialogue we'll come up with new ideas. Don't take our views as the truth, but they take them as a provocation and let us grow these ideas. Let us grow the creativity by engaging in dialogue. So over to you.
Thank you so much. We are so glad that you're here today. We covered a lot. It was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And if you like this video, please make sure to thumbs up and subscribe and turn on the notifications. And we'll have a new episode every other Friday, US Pacific time. So stay tuned and see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.